Hi everyone, today we're going to have a bit of a discussion around what company boards, organisational boards, need to be thinking about in 2023 with regard to cybersecurity. Certainly over the last 12 months, we've seen the subject matter of cybersecurity really bubble up as a priority within most organisations in Australia. So Jack, why do you think that's the case?
So cybersecurity has always been something that affects organisations, but only very recently did it become such a huge priority. I think at the beginning of last year, 2022, when the Russia-Ukraine war started, a lot of these attacks became much more public. The threat of ransomware became much more prevalent, and this came to a point with high-profile incidents at the end of the year, such as those affecting Optus and Medibank. These were very popular in the news, and they affected a lot of individuals across Australia as well. So the risk to organisations is now greater than ever, and the impact these attacks can have is quite catastrophic.
So following on from that, Jack, in terms of your involvement in our incident response team and also the cybersecurity threat intelligence that we get through as an organisation, are you seeing any trends develop with regard to specific industry verticals being targeted by the threat actors in terms of ransomware?
Look, so we're performing response to ransomwares almost every single day, and the stats that we have show that no particular industry is targeted. This also aligns with the stats produced by the ACSC, so any industry can certainly be affected by this. What is important to threat actors is not what the industry is, but rather what's easy to exploit. So the trend that we see is that the low-hanging fruit is targeted. The organisations who have major holes in their systems are the ones that generally get hit by ransomware.
So that whole myth around the fact that these guys, these threat actors, are only going after, financial institutions, insurers, is not actually the case, right?
That's right.
It's all about if you've got a weak defence, you're going to get hit.
Absolutely.
So with the heightened media attention over the last year, if we looked at a couple of those high-profile cases that have come through, and let's start with Optus, in your opinion, was there anything that you saw that they've done wrong in terms of how they've responded to that incident?
Look, from a technical perspective, there were a few missing controls. There was an exposed API endpoint. This means they didn't have an understanding of their attack surface and what could be exploited. Obviously, there was insufficient testing against this API endpoint, penetration testing to identify potential vulnerabilities, and there was bad monitoring because once the attack happened, they didn't realize it was happening until too late. So I think what this shows is that from a high level, they need a strong security program in place to cover all potential areas there.
Now, the other high-profile case that everybody's heard about, Jack, is Medibank. So what happened there?
So this was a bit different. In this case, it was a compromised user account that led to the network compromise. So an individual had their computer attacked and credentials were stolen from this individual that allowed remote access into the Medibank network. Now this shows different controls that were missing, such as multi-factor authentication, which could have prevented the threat actor from accessing the network, but it does also show a lack of monitoring. Reportedly, the threat actor was in the network using this user account for periods of up to a month. This should have been identified by a security operations center. Another major difference between the Medibank and the Optus attacks was that Medibank did not have cyber insurance. Cyber insurance can be an important protection that not only mandates you have the controls in place in order to get the insurance, but ensures that if you do get attacked, then insurance will bring in the appropriate qualified professionals to help you react to it and respond to it appropriately.
And in those time-sensitive situations, that's highly critical, right?
Absolutely. It can help you get a good media response. It can help you make sure you have the right controls in place to prevent it happening again, and it helps you get back on track faster.
So, starting to pull all that together, Jack, what should boards be doing in 2023 to deal with cyber risk?
So there's a few things boards should be doing. The first one I think that it's important is for boards to treat cybersecurity as a business risk. Cybersecurity can have a huge impact on the organization. It can have a financial impact, reputational impact, it can also have a regulatory and shareholder impact as well if things go wrong.
And we've seen all those things in some of the high-profile cases we've been talking about today, right?
That's absolutely true. Another thing that's very important is that boards show strong leadership on this front. They need to work in concert with executives who then need to work with the technical teams to make sure that everyone is working towards the same goals.
Which again, I think during the discussions today, we're agreeing over the past 12 months has actually started to come to fruition, right?
Yeah, that's very true. And thirdly, cybersecurity needs to become a culture throughout the organization. Cybersecurity is not just for the technical staff. Everyone needs to be thinking about it all the time in order for the right protections to be in place and effective.
So effectively top down as well as bottom up.
That's right.
So finally, in addition to the boards actually treating cybersecurity risk, what other recommendations would you put forward that they should be thinking about at the moment, Jack?
So here at Tresco Labs, we like to think about 3 big points, and that's people, process, and technology. So people, you need to make sure that the staff in your organization are well trained, aware of the risks, know how to react to the risks, but also to protect themselves in the first place. There's the process point. You need to make sure that the processes are in place to prevent these things from happening in the first place. But also, if this does happen to you, you need to have processes in place to respond to these so that we can make sure that we cut the impact off very quickly. From a technology point of view, you need to make sure the right security technology is in place across the organization, across all your systems, so that the attacks can be prevented in the first place, but also detected in case the attacks get through the layers of prevention. This detection should happen 24/7, 365, such as with a security operations center where you always have eyes on glass.
Okay, makes sense. Hopefully you've enjoyed the summary that we've discussed today with regard to what boards need to be doing, what they need to be thinking about, and what actions they need to be taking in 2023 with regards to cybersecurity. If you've got any questions, queries, or want to talk to us about anything cyber related at all, just jump on the Tresco Labs website. All of our contact details are on there. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Rob.